my guitar kind of sits in the corner and just kind of shouts, incoming, incoming, you've got mail.
Hey, how you doing? It's Kylie Olsson here. This is Life in Six Strings. Big thank you for tuning into the series, and please subscribe because I have loads new interviews coming up for you over the year. Now, there is simply no other band quite like the Wildhearts. Since forming in Newcastle some 30 odd years ago, the quartet have become natural successors to the original British punk icons who inspired them. So please welcome to Life in Six Strings, the incredible Ginger Wildheart. So Ginger, welcome to Life in Six Strings. How's it all going?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so good to have you on. I always like to start off asking my guests, like, why the guitar?
For me, it was seeing Sweet on Top of the Pops when I was about 9, I think. And the guitar player had a sticker on his guitar, and it looked like a smiley face, and the camera zoomed in on this smiley face, and it was an inverted smiley, and it said shit. And I just thought, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And you know, that was, to me, that's, you can get away with murder with a guitar. I think, you know, I was destined to play guitar. I can't do anything else. So that was the thing that actually, you know, convinced me. You can swear on Top of the Pops with a guitar.
It was being a rebel that appealed to you then.
Well, there's very few ways of getting out of Newcastle. You know, being a rebel normally just gets you in trouble. You know, there's always football, but there's very few and far between great footballers, and their career's over at about, you know, late 30s anyway. There's only music I thought was you couldn't kill it. Didn't have a shelf life. You don't need to know how popular it is. It's not part of a clique unless you're one of those kind of trend jumpers. Music's personal. Music's yours for you. I never thought in a million years I'd make a living at it, even especially being my age, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, and still making a living out of music long after the coal mines and the shipyards and everything in Newcastle has closed down and unemployment's so high. My funny little hobby that was based on a sticker on the Sweet Guitarist guitar. What's wrong, darling? Yeah. So yeah, that was, I knew there and then that's my weapon of choice.
So you were 9 years old, so that's when you started playing. And did you start on electric or acoustic?
No, I started on an old Spanish guitar that was handed down by my cousin to me. I had 3 strings on it, and I just tuned them 3 strings in probably a standard tuning because I didn't know any chords, so I just tuned them to be like whatever that tuning is where you only use one finger. And I kind of then learned songwriting pretty much before I learned to play guitar. I learned how to write a song. So playing guitar is a great way of you know, presenting the song, because there's never going to be anything better than a guitar. Even cars, even girls. I think guitars are going to last longer than girls.
If you've got the right, yeah, unless you pick the right one, I don't know. You're going to get.
I'm in a room full of girls. Yeah, it's just joking.
I love that.
Yeah, Christ, yeah, just the 2.
So I read once that you said the guitar has saved your life many times.
Oh, it still does. I mean, like I say, if I'd picked any other job in the Northeast, I would have well, God knows what I'd be doing now, but I would have really struggled. Probably ended up being an alcoholic or something, like a lot of people are back home. The guitars, it's just been always there for me. You know, if I have a song, and I don't even know how I can still write songs based on the chords that I know. But AC/DC are still doing it, so there's some good company there. But my guitar kind of sits in the corner and just kind of shouts, incoming, incoming, you've got mail. And I pick it up and a song comes out, and I'm fortunate enough that I never struggled to write. I've never had writer's block.
Do you find that you just lose yourself in it when you've got it? It's kind of like this, yeah, it's a place for you to disappear into for hours on end?
Yeah, but I get no, really. I think because I used to be really keen on art, and I think art was how I used to get away from myself. with the guitar, I don't spend a lot of time noodling or sitting down playing.
That's
You know,
interesting.
yeah, I don't play my guitar until I've got a song. And, fortunately, I can I can work around it. You know, I've been playing for so long, I got accidentally really good. But it's for songwriting really. That's my first love. The guitar is just the vehicle that I choose because I can't play piano. So yeah, but my love of guitars probably isn't in classic 58 models and stuff like that. It's probably because it's a nice pink, or that's got black and silver. I don't know. I
Yeah.
like guitars. As you can see, I like guitars for the aesthetics of guitars as much as I do the practicality of making a living out of them.
Well, they do that. I mean, I understand that because I feel the same as well. Like they are so beautiful to look at, aren't they? It's like there's a real art to them. And you mentioned that you had a love of art, and I guess maybe that's a part of it. And I love that what you've done with your guitars as well. You've really like the one that you play live with a lot. You've stuck stickers on it, and it becomes it's a personality, isn't it?
Yeah, that's something that me and CJ started when we first started working together. We just, ended up finding cool stickers and going, I'm going to lose it if I put it in my pocket. I'll stick it on the guitar. And then it just built up from there. Yeah, I've got guitars that are made by like my favorite luthiers, and they're handmade for me and stuff like that. And I'm, they're probably amazing guitars to go on the road with, but I just look at them and just go, oh, I can't get you dirty. You're so pretty. Yeah, so it's guitars have got different. You have different guitars for different needs. Some I need for live, some I need for the studio, and some I need just to make my eyes happy.
I love that. So let's look at some of those guitars that you've got there. So is this your full collection?
No, I've got probably 40 odd or something. I don't know. I don't actually count them. You know what? I don't actually. It was like tattoos. I never really got a guitar to have tons of them, and I never got a tattoo to be covered in them. And somehow both happened. So that one there, you can see that one. That is a Gibson Firebird, the guitar, not Thunderbird. That's the bass. So that is a Gibson Firebird that I really wanted one, and I saw one on being advertised for sale, and I had just enough money to get it, and then I would be skint, and I thought it would be better to buy that guitar than be broke. And it's gorgeous, and it's one of those that there's a few guitars that I've bought. I do this when I get close to my last of my money, and I'll buy a guitar, and then one day I'll sell that guitar for twice as much as I bought it. So
Well, you've auctioned some of your guitars off, haven't you, for charity?
I auctioned my Les Paul.
Yeah.
I was saying when me and CJ first started, he had a Lucille and I had a Les Paul Gibson, and my guitar just got more and more stickers, and it was in more and more videos and stuff like that. That when the tsunami hit Japan, and I'm arguably as fond of Japan as anywhere in the world. I've got lots of friends over there, and it really broke my heart that these people were trying their best to get back on their feet instead of just sitting around moaning about it. And I just thought, I got no money, so I can't, just send them a load of cash. But I cannot auction my favorite guitar, which went to a Japanese fan who doesn't play guitar. But it was great. God, you just hope all guitars could had a story like that where you just made a mess of it.
That's so cool of you to do that. That's so nice to give away like one of your
Not
guitars
really.
like
I
that.
mean, anyone would do it if it was people that they loved were being affected by something. Surely anyone would do that.
True.
And I hope to think that's not special to do something to help. Pretty sad if that's like extra human. But
Yeah.
no, I reckon everyone being in that position, fortunate enough to be in that position, there's something that cost like 250 quid, that Les Paul, and it made, was it 25 grand?
Yeah, I read that it sold for 25 grand, which is incredible.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
But again, that's the power of our little community that we've got, the Wildhearts. We could form an army and take over the government if we wanted to.
Please do it. We need your help. So what is that crazy looking guitar there with the face?
Which one? This one? The green one?
With the face.
Oh, Smiley Bones. Okay, that was made. I had one of these made for me. And we went to New York. I played Top of the Pops with it, and then we went to New York, and it got stolen from the back of a van. So I never heard the guitar bloody plugged in. No, I had no idea what it sounded like, and I'm sure the people that no one that got it was worried about how it. So I've got a feeling that beautiful guitar, no one ever heard what it sounded like. So this one is a replica. They very kindly made me that guitar and presented it to me. I think it's sorry. And yeah, it's all logo, and again, just like people doing nice things. Or excuse me, our community is it's there's a lot of heart, and goes into our. I don't know. I'd only call them fans, so it's just like an extended community that's been going for about 30 years. But they do stuff like that all the time, and sometimes it is the little pick me up that you need in life to know that there's a lot of good people in the world, and they're buying my records.
Which is not bad. And talking of records, you have a new one out, which at a time is a live album, and I feel like right now it's the perfect time to launch a live album because we're all missing live music.
Exactly. Devil and Son, that guitar.
Devil and Son. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I know. It's obviously when we wanted to do this album was just because we had live recordings of Danny. We had this gorgeous new smiley face I wanted to use, and we started working on that album long before there was a lockdown.
Yeah.
And we couldn't have planned for it to be, more rewarding. Obviously, these horrible, upsetting times. That's what's kept us afloat, that live album. It really has kept the business afloat. And I'm seeing so many people's businesses go down. I'm just really, really thankful that we can keep ours, So it's a great record as well. I'm from an age in the 70s where everyone released a live album. And it just reminded everyone, we're not just about singles, we're not just about sales, we're also a really good band. And the great live albums were always good fortune for those bands because it acts like a best of. And our new album does act like a best of the Wildhearts. So we've made a few kind of posh bootleg albums, but this is our first live album. And it is a good time to do it because Christ Almighty, I'm sure everyone misses gigs just as much as me.
God, yeah. And I was watching your the video that you've released with one of the singles. God, I can't remember what the song was.
Urge is that one?
Urge, exactly. And I just loved it. It was great watching it, and it just made me miss gigs even more. But just to see you guys live up there on stage and that audience just going crazy, I was like, oh my God, that just feels like another world right now. It's just, yeah, but it was nice to see. It was really good to see, and I loved how you mixed it up with some old footage as well, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's we know a lot of really good artists, so that it helps our time like this, so we can get people to make videos like that. I'm not sure I've seen it. I think I've seen it twice. I haven't really watched it through, but it's great.
Go and check it out. It's good.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to ask you, like my baby is a head fuck.
You just said fuck.
I know, right? The power of the internet. I think we should be all right. Mick Ronson plays guitar on that track.
Yeah.
What was he like to work with?
Well, he was gorgeous. He was supposed to be producing the album, and then he got ill, and the record company said they want to change producer. I'm hoping it had nothing to do with the decision, but he was obviously well enough to come to the studio, and we'd had a few rehearsals where he popped down with his producer's hat on. But he came down that song, "My Baby Is a Head Fuck." I wasn't going to record that for the album because I wrote it with 3 solos in the end. I thought, unless Mick Ronson comes down and plays a solo, we're not going to do it. And he did, and we did, and it's a live favorite, even though it's not on the live album. But he was lovely, and there's Stevie Lang's a lovely singer called Stevie Lang, and she'd never met Mick Ronson. They're both legends, so there was a lot of love in the studio, and just to see someone playing like that, it was like watching a cat getting his dinner. You know what I mean? Like it's just so. It's feline. That's why he had a feline quality to his playing. It was so smooth, and obviously you know, we're like, oh, fantastic. And he died before it was released. So
Okay.
I think he heard it, but he never got to appreciate that would have been his last performance. You know, I think he was working on an album himself, but the last performance that the world heard was on our album. And the good thing about it is it made me and CG kind of realize that we've got some work to do on our solos. So he made us better guitar players.
Did he? Because it was you, CJ, and him that did the three guitar solos.
Yeah.
You split it up, yeah?
I think mine, CG is the first cheap one, and then Mick Ronson, the really expensive one, and then me, the cheapest one. So it's average, incredible, even more average.
Shut up. Well, look, you've done all right considering you're an average player.
It's funny. I actually did get good by accident because I just you don't see it coming really, you know, unless you're
How?
planning for it.
So tell me, because obviously I've started on this journey. So how did you get good though? You weren't playing for hours on end like some of the guitarists I've had on this show, or were you? And did you have
No,
lessons or?
no. Unfortunately, I didn't take lessons, which I probably would advise anyone to do now because it took me 3 times as long to learn things. That would have been just like one guitar lesson. Never took lessons. I guess I learned how to be good by being crap for so long. It's the same with songwriting. Is the theory of 10,000 hours. You put in 10,000 hours solid work at something and you get good. And I've been doing more than 10,000 hours of guitar, so I'm fairly good now. But I always wanted to be a rhythm guitar player, not a lead guitar player. So my rhythms got really good.
Rhythm is meant to be really hard. A lot of good guitarists that I talk to have a lot of appreciation for rhythm guitarists because they're like, it is, especially when you're doing like metal, like where you're just constantly going stroking down and stuff. It's meant to be a bit killer.
Well, that's why I had a passion for like thrash. I love playing thrash. I love playing punk, and I love playing country. And I think the country ones taught me more than the other two because the other two are all, you know, thrash is all about just dexterity and how fast you can play. And punk was like the beautiful thing about punk is you didn't have to play, and arguably it sounds better if you can't really play it and you're giving it an absolute 100%. Country, on the other hand, teaches you all about open chords, how to hang behind the beat and stuff. All those country session players are just insanely good. You don't get any jobs out there without being great. So I kind of focused on my rhythm playing um, purely as a vehicle to write songs. To be honest, you know, the more chords I can learn, the more scope I've got to extend my songwriting skills, and that's where I've been putting all my time in learning rhythm guitar. And I know how good I am because whenever I play with lead guitarists who are awesome lead guitarists, they're very seldom great rhythm guitarists. So I end up filling all the chords in.
Yeah.
And this, one of my absolute heroes, is it there? Is Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick.
You've got one of these guitars. Which one is it?
Well, it's not the one with the legs. Oh, I need
with
James
the
for this.
legs.
Can you see it?
Oh my God, I didn't even know that was a guitar. That's insane.
I know that's the thing. It's called Uncle Dick, I think it is. It's a replica of the guitar. Apparently, that guitar was stolen from him. And I'm friends with his son, Dax. And so when I said, "Oh, Dax, check out what just arrived," him and his dad immediately were just like, "It's stolen property! It's stolen property!" And it wasn't. It was a Chinese knockoff. Yeah. But
I love it.
that's my one of two rhythm guitars that I've got double necks. This one being another one. Oh, there it is. Yeah. See that, the BC Rich?
So are you any good at playing the double neck?
Well, you can only play one neck at a time, so
Yeah, that's
as
true.
good as anyone, really.
It is a bit of a beast, though, isn't it? The whole thing,
Yeah.
like having to hold it, it's not that easy to hold and stuff. I always admire anyone that can play a double neck.
Isn't it funny? It's right. People that look good playing a double neck, like that's usually what they do. You know, it's got an aesthetic that suits their build or their face, and I just found it really unpleasant. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of work going into it. Not as unpleasant as my guitar tech Dunk found, because you have to string up 2 necks, one of which is the 12 string.
It's a bitch. And we were chatting just before we started recording about bar chords, because I said I'd sort of moved on to bar chords with my playing, and I just find them like the worst thing ever. And it's a point in my playing where I feel like I want to quit. And then you were saying, because you mentioned country music, and you were saying that I should try and play it the country way. So can you show me how to do it the country way?
Oh, well, I've got a guitar here for you because I've been doing my demos, and this beautiful thing was made for me by Prestige Guitars. I think they're Canadian. Look at that neck. Look at
That neck is beautiful.
Oops, just snap the neck off. So your traditional bar chord, say A, is like that.
Yes.
And you need so much pressure on that.
Yeah.
It's probably best to just work it gradually. Don't get frustrated with it. There's another way of playing it, which is a country way, which is that. There's exactly the same strings, but there's no bar chords. So the first two are held down by that finger, and then there's no strain put on the back of your wrist or your. Again, it's going to be a little bit complicated until it becomes really natural to you.
Yeah, so that was just playing an A, so like an A, like you say, so you have to play it like that. So then you hold that down there, and then you have to hold those there. Why do they play it that way then in country?
Because for tuning in studio, I'd imagine, because you can kind of adjust or pull strings if they're a bit flat, whereas a bar chord, there's no movement. You've just got a big solid bridge with one finger, and there's very little you can do with the others. So also the country chord sorts you out for when you start learning scales, and there's a lot of scales that start within that shape, so you get more comfortable as a solo player.
Yeah.
I think country's a really good one because they're so good, and it's not showing off. It's just a lot of sound because they're playing it perfect and the notes are ringing perfectly. I always thought bar chords was a bit of a cop out, but I'm a Ramones fan. I had to learn how to play bar chords.
Yeah, sure. So, was there ever a point in your playing where you felt like giving up?
No, never. It's always been like my closest friend, like a twin or something. I got involved in a fight in London and broke my left hand, so I had to learn the whole thing again from scratch. And there's probably times there where I wish I could just give up. And then when I was in bands and stuff and playing, I left this. I stuck that finger in a door, and this one snapped like that. So the doctor said that would be. Oh, you see, I'm shaking. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
So me and Scott Surrey, our other bass player, taped it up with a twig, and I went back to London, went back home to South Shields to get it seen, and it turned out that the tendon from this finger had snapped. It's like a week later or something, it snapped, and this finger wasn't responding to the same impetus or whatever as these three. So I had to learn to play a third time with a busted finger. So I had to learn to use my hand again and then remember all the stuff that I'd forgot.
Oh my God, that's nuts. Well, listen, Ginger, thank you so much for coming on the show. Great chatting to you, and some nice tips there with the trying to play more of a country bar chords, because it might be a bit easier. Yeah, I think I need that.
Yeah, they're harder, so that's the reason that it's more valuable. Otherwise, everyone would do it.
All right. Well, thank you. Take care of yourself.